Hello everyone, good morning. Amber Canyon is here. I will not be going there just yet, but I wanted to talk about what we know now about Amber Canyon and how to plan to tackle this new island. Now, this is honestly a breath of fresh air for me because I have been on expert mode since expert mode came out, and from running some calculations, it feels like I'm gonna do better on Amber Canyon out the gate just because of like how much power it takes to do well on expert mode. But anyway, I wanted to go through how I'm going to be preparing for Amber Canyon, as well as some tips to get you ready for what you might need to hunt and how to evaluate how you're going to be approaching the release event, as well as building up your area bonus afterwards. By the way, I'm Husky. Thanks for being here. And I haven't put out a ton of videos as of late. I've just been kind of doing updates, but I'm going to try to do a little bit better. For now, this is where we're going to be. So let me start by bringing up one specific pet peeve of mine, and then I will evaluate why this is kind of a good strategy. So it is very possible that though you have unlocked Amber Canyon, you are not yet prepared to tackle how difficult Amber Canyon is going to be. What happens with a lot of people who are not prepared to go into a brand new island that's difficult on 0% area bonus is they will go to a different island. For example, if you're looking for a Trapinch, then you might go to Taup Hollow for a while, get some hunts out of the way, and then at the end of the week, use easy travel tickets to accumulate area bonus. This is a personal pet peeve of mine, though it is a very viable strategy. Instead of using the expert ticket on the last day of the week to build up the expert bonus, I have been going through the entirety of expert mode every single week, not using the travel tickets to do anything like that. I don't know why. It's a very viable strategy. It's just a personal pet peeve of mine. I feel like you're cheating, like you're not really enjoying the game itself. I don't know. I am a min-maxer, and I guess not like extreme min-maxer, but I feel like I want to enjoy the game to its fullest. And I can't really explain beyond that why this is a pet peeve of mine, but it is a very viable strategy that a lot of people use. So if you're not prepared for Amber Canyon, you might want to evaluate going to different islands that have Pokemon that you're hunting for. You know, for example, if you don't have a good Dragonite yet, hang out on Lapis Lakeside, build it up so that you can get a good Dragonite and then build up the area bonus on the side, so that you can eventually be ready to tackle that. That's the first thing. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I get annoyed by it, but I do understand where it's a very viable strategy so that you can prepare. The next thing that I want to talk about is what you can actually do to get ready. So obviously these first 2 weeks are going to be the event weeks where spawns are boosted for the new Pokemon, etc. But you have to be prepared for what your box looks like. You know, a lot of people will talk about how they need, like, you need specific Pokemon, like you need to have a good one of this and you need to have a good one of this, and I don't think that people always remember that it's about the individual account. Every account is going to be different and everyone's box is going to have different things in it. So the first thing that I would suggest is taking a look at your box for what those favorite berry Pokemon look like and what you can build teams around based on that. Favorite berry isn't everything, especially when you're not on expert mode. So it's not like you necessarily need a full team of favorite berry Pokemon, but you do want to see what you can work around on this new island with the berries that it has available. So this is what my box looks like currently. And the best things that I've got here are all these Pokemon on the top. So I've got this Dragonite. Here he is. He is very, very strong. Eventually, I hope to get him to level 60, but even without level 60, he is producing a massive amount of corn. So any corn dishes I can kind of work around, and that's kind of where I started. Like, what corn dishes exist that I can make pretty consistently if I build a team around this Dragonite? It is definitely one of the best Pokemon that's on my team. So I kind of have that option. I have the corn option with a little bit of supplemental fiery herbs as well. Next is my Butterfree, which I only recently invested in. It's very strong. It has Berry Finding S and Helping Speed. It doesn't have a very high ingredient rate, so I can't necessarily count on those ingredients, but it does trigger a little bit. Again, not a super high skill trigger rate for this Pokemon. It's about 2 skill triggers per day, but still it's a level 3. I'm getting a little bit of extra ingredients and just a tiny little bit of honey and tomatoes, but generally this is a really good Pokemon to have on the team. If you like sneaky snacking, this would be a good one to do that. I don't, I'm too impatient and I always collect everything, but it's gonna be very strong because of Berry Finding S, the speed. I imagine that this will be like a mainstay Pokemon, so I can work on berry specific strength and build up a lot of strength very fast. So that's another option that I have. I also have a Mono Coffee Vigavolt. So is it Vigavolt or Vicavolt? Vigavolt. Anyway, so he's another bug type specialist with skill trigger, ingredient finder, helping bonus. So he does have Ingredient Finder M and Helping Bonus, which is definitely very helpful. So again, like the Dragonite with the corn, I can take a look at specific dishes that have coffee in it and potentially build teams working around this Vikavolt. And then I have my Shiny Altaria with Berry Finding S. This is one of the best shinies that I have that I can use pretty consistently. And similar to the Butterfree, its ingredient rate is very low. It is only really going to get me about 18 soybeans and about 6 eggs per day at its current level. And as you can see, it's not like I can level it up very much anytime soon. But for me, this is an option to throw on as a berry specialist, especially at night, to build up hours on it so that I can get the ribbon on it. And it's a shiny, so it's just something that I like. And I want to be able to use at any time. I also have Flat Boy. I can invest him to level 50 where I would get Ingredient Finder M, and that is very good. So again, I have another mono option, I guess counting Dragonite as mono because of how much corn that it actually makes. Let me see here. It makes about 71 corn per day on 0% area bonus at Amber Canyon, which is pretty good. So I have Flat Boy. He has mono cacao, and that's going to be strong as well for especially some dessert dishes and maybe some lower tier curry dishes as well. So again, another option that I could potentially build a team around if I'm going for dishes specifically. Next, I have Bob. I have not invested in him yet, but he is a very, very strong Dream Shard Magnet Pokemon. So eventually I plan to invest him, and I plan to have him as like a mainstay on weeks when I'm just trying to build up Dream Shards, especially because of how fast you go through Dream Shards in the later portions of the game. He's also, funny enough, mono soybeans, so a little bit of extra soybean production. But he has skill level up, skill trigger S, which I can easily sub-skill seed, and he has main skill chance up as well. And because of the skill level up M, I only have to use 3 main skill seeds to max him out, right? Or wait, is it 4? Yeah, it goes up to level 8 now, so I have only 4 main skill seeds to max him out. And it will trigger quite a lot per day. I can actually take a look at this real quick. I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuffs and things. So Swalot, if I took him just to level 30, if I made this skill trigger M, and I leveled up the skill all the way through 4 main skill seeds into it, about 6 triggers per day, which comes out to about 17,000 Dream Shards per day from the Swalot skills. So on weeks that I'm not really trying to push for strength, this is also a really good option. I then have my Toxicroak here. I'll switch back so that you can see this better. I have one Toxicroak. This is AAB Toxicroak, which is pretty good for a variety of dishes, having oil and sausage. It's also shiny. It's not that great, but it's one that I have used quite a lot. You see the amount of hours that I have put into it here. and eventually it will get ingredient finder, but not till much later. Generally, I have stopped investing in my Toxicroaks for oil, and I've pivoted to a Cramorant. But in general, this is still an option, especially if I do get this to level 60 for a little bit of the supplementary. But this guy as well, another kind of invested Toxicroak. You can see it still has like the 79. Like, I haven't evaluated it in so long, but I used to name them like this. But this one's a little bit better because it has double ingredient finding, and it's also mono. It doesn't get really good until level 50. So I could potentially level this guy up. And even if I look at it here, Toxicroak, this one's probably like a better option than the shiny one. If I leveled it up to level 50, it's making me about 63 oil per day, which is not too bad. So this, again, could be another option. So I do have a lot of ingredient finders, and I have some solid berry finders. So I can work with the box that I have on Amber Canyon and not go too crazy with hunting for anything different. But that is what I'm going to talk about next. So we know what my box has in it. And next is going to be building around your specific dishes that you are looking for. So I have talked about how I have him for corn, I've got him for oil, I've got a couple solid berry finders, and obviously there's always going to be a slot for a healer. I have a good Palmot, so he's been the healer that I have been using most frequently as of late. And if we take a look at what this team is, if I'm just using my box and I'm looking for a specific meal type, I can very easily make explosion popcorn without really trying. And this would net me a master one. Just an explosion popcorn isn't that great of a meal, but it is one that I can make with a full, besides Palmot, favored berry team. And I don't have to worry about anything else. I would just run this team AFK, log in 3 times a day to grab the rest of the ingredients and make explosion popcorn, and we would be set. We would be able to reach master rank with this. Obviously, this isn't the most ideal team, but this is one thing that I can do for like weeks that I might not really be trying. If we take a look at our recipes, we might want to look at what I have in my box that might be able to cover specific recipes, considering I build a team around it. So in this top row are kind of the ones that I guess you would want to mainly focus on, but they also are ones that, besides Pumpkaboo Stew, they are ones that you can't really work with unless you're running a good camp ticket. So I also expand like down a lot of the time, again, unless I'm really, really trying. If I'm really, really trying, which I'll get to in a second, then, we can focus on some of these. But I also expand down here. I have a level 65 Dream Eater Butter Curry, and we do have, where is he? We do have Flat Boy that can easily cover the cacao. We're getting some supplementary tomatoes from our Caterpie. We're getting some milk from our Palmot. And we would just need to throw somebody on for potatoes, which wouldn't be too difficult to do. Over here, Ninja Curry, I would have to try a little bit. I could work with the sausage if I were to level up this Toxicroak here. And also this guy, he is another option technically. I haven't invested in him yet, but he's pretty good and he has ingredient finding up. So I could also potentially work with my Arbok for the sausage. I also can run a Swalot and get these soybeans because he has mono soybeans. And also my Altaria, as I was saying before, covers soybeans a little bit. I get a little bit of extra. So I would have to just worry about leeks and mushrooms here, which wouldn't be super difficult to work with. Up here, we can we can obviously cover the corn, and we can obviously cover the fiery herbs with a little bit of planning. The problem here would be ginger and sausage, which I'll get to in a second. For this one, I can kind of cover it as long as I stock mushrooms beforehand, and then you just kind of go up from there. Obviously, we can cover coffee with my Vikavolt while still focusing on favored berry, and we can cover oil here for this new meal with the Toxicroak that I have. And then if we take a look at our salad recipes, we can cover corn and fiery herbs pretty easily. We can get the soybeans as well. We would just need to look for avocados. We can cover coffee. We can cover oil. We can cover, I guess we could get like supplementary ingredients for all of here, but we'd have to plan it out a little bit more. We can get oil here. We can get, since it's less sausage, we can probably cover it. Soybeans, corn and oil. Like this is probably the best option for me on just like an off week for salads because I have the oil and the corn covered. I get some supplementary tomatoes and I would just have to grab something for potatoes. And then, you know, I have a couple more options as we go. Next, desserts. I already talked about how explosion popcorn I can very easily cover. That's, you know, a little bit down the list in terms of, you know, how good it is. I've got coffee here, coffee and corn and milk. I can pretty easily cover this as well. I can get more coffee, cacao. Coffee here, cacao here, corn here. I can get this milk as well. So like I can build teams setting up for specific dishes that I want to make. But I think that the main thing that I want to do is have some go-to dishes for each of the dish types based on what I have currently in my box, which for desserts is going to be explosion popcorn and mold breaker corn tiramisu. It's going to be green grass salad, and it's going to be likely Dream Eater butter curry just for, you know, the time being. Maybe even Dizzy Punch spicy curry. We would just have to, you know, get a little bit of extra honey. But I kind of have that plan. But now what about weeks where we are trying? Like, what would the best situation for me look like? And what do I then need to hunt to fill that out? Which leads us to the new Pokemon that have been added to the game and what they each do. So I have Salamence up here, which I always said Salamance, and I have to try really hard to say Salamence because that's an E. That is an absolute E. So in terms of Salamence, berry specialist, and it has potatoes, ginger, and sausage, which is good, you know, like this could be a very strong berry specialist. It will beat out Altaria, and it will probably beat out my shiny Altaria pretty easily if I get a decent one. And then also making, so what is the ingredient rate? 21% is fairly high for a berry specialist, if I remember correctly. And then you also get cooking power up S, so you can dump extra ingredients in, and you can even make some of those bigger tier meals while running Salamence. So with a potato list, I guess this is like the, AAB list makes, this is like what it's saying. It estimates making about 32 potatoes. It's estimating for here making a little bit of ginger, making a little bit of potatoes and ginger. This is like at level 60, you know, what it's doing. So it can get you a little bit of supplementary potatoes for, you know, dishes that I might want to make, like Dream Eater butter curry on, you know, a week. Not as much with, or, you know, pumpkaboo stew potentially. And also the new curry has potatoes that you can get supplementary from Salamence throughout the week. And then in terms of salads, you've got Petal Blizzard salad. I've got oil. And then if I get a good Salamence, I've pretty much covered potatoes. Green grass salad as well, which is still not a bad option for off weeks, as well as Defiant coffee dress salad. You can get the supplementary potatoes there. So And then, a little bit of extra ginger, but not too much. I don't believe uses potatoes and ginger in terms of the top tier meals. So I guess for me, what I'd be wanting to get is a AAC or mono list for supplements. But yeah, I mean, I'm also thinking about this in terms of ingredients. My coffee. I'm also thinking about it in terms of ingredients, and obviously this isn't an ingredient finder. So supplements could be a good option for me, but it's probably not going to be my main hunt, honestly, because I've got this berry finder right now, and I've got a good Butterfree. So I kind of have, and also that good Arbok in case I really need it. So I kind of do have some options. Next, Crustle. One of the Pokemon I just love. It's in Pokemon Unite, and he's just so funny and stupid. So he is a skill specialist, which are my favorite type. I love the skill specialists. I've invested way too many skill specialists that I probably shouldn't have, but I love them. So he has ingredient draw. An ingredient draw with these ingredients: potatoes, oil, and avocados, which is also the type of ingredient that he has in his list. So it's a little bit more efficient of an ingredient draw Pokemon. And this is kind of one, like, I know that people have been saying it's not that great, people expected it to be a little bit different, but this is a really efficient ingredient draw Pokemon. And with the favored berry, this could be a really good option for me to not only get avocados, but also pull in some of the ingredients for some of these top tier dishes. Once again, avocados, potato, oil, and I have a couple options for milk that are pretty strong. So with a good ingredient draw Pokemon, a little bit of supplementary ingredients like potatoes and avocado, I can make this dish. So I think for me, I'm going to want a Crustle that I can invest in. The problem here is, of course, going to be the main skill seeds, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We also have in salads this dish, which, if you were hunting a Crustle, you'd probably want it specifically for the curries, but you do get avocados from it. You could run it on the side, and I could run it with my Dragonite, my Ampharos likely for the extra skill, and a soybean farmer like my Tyranitar, or a little bit of, or if I planned out well, then I could run like my Swalot as well that has soybeans. But again, that would be something that I would have to evaluate at that point. Other than that, we do have this salad, which could be an off-week salad for me. It's a little bit of an easier one, 42 ingredients. I could make the avocados and oil easily with this Crustle, and then, I would just have to look for soybeans. So Crustle is honestly a solid hunt for me to be considering. I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, Leaf Tornado Smoothie is the same thing. Crustle probably not going to be the best for this specifically, but it is an easier dish to make. Okay, last one is Flygon. Flygon is your avocado farmer. It's your ingredient specialist with charge strength S, so classic ingredient finder skill. And it's got a, where's the ingredient rate? 17.2% ingredient finding rate. So let's take a look down here. At level 60 with the mono list, it's going to be making about 52 avocados per day. So this is because the procs of avocados are not that high. You make 2, 5, 7, as opposed to its secondary ingredients where you're making 6 and 9, and then your soybean proc, which is 12 at level 60. So avocados are kind of supposed to be rarer and more difficult to just cover with one specific Pokemon. So, I didn't know that that's what that did when you clicked on it. So at level 60, you are still, for these top tier meals, likely going to need some other avocado producer to be able to make them. So if we go back here to our dishes, mainly this curry and the salad dish for avocados, we have, we need 66 avocados if we want to make the overgrow avocado gratin 3 times a day. So you're still going to need something else to pull in the extra avocados. And the only other thing that does is Crustle with ingredient draw. So regardless, this is going to be something that I'm probably going to need to stock up if I want specifically to make this dish. The salads, this one is kind of where the Flygon shines, because you can pull in soybeans and herbs. Jeez, I can't even remember any words anymore. But you can pull in, again, not enough avocados and not, wait, what? How many of these? You could pull it, if you have AAB, then you are only pulling in about 26 avocados and 33 herbs. If you have ABA, which is probably, I guess, if you were trying to cover with just that Pokemon, with a little bit of planning and a little bit of overstock, this would probably be the one that you would want. And then, you know, if you have soybeans, again, like anything besides this avocado as your C ingredient is going to be making so few avocados that it feels like Flygon is like, it feels like the avocado dishes themselves are like a bit of a trap. It feels like you're never going to be able to produce enough to make them. And, you know, unless you have like a really, really good one, which I can imagine, you know, obviously you can get more depending on if you have like a really, really good one. But it's a little bit of a trap because it's just, you just can't really reliably get enough without a lot of planning. So I feel like no matter what, if you're just running a Flygon throughout the week, then what the dishes that you're going to be focusing on are probably more like the luscious avocado salad. Or isn't there another one in here that got added? No? And then in desserts, oh yeah, it's in desserts. The leaf tornado smoothie, which you can make pretty well with just the amount of avocados that Flygon is going to produce. So in general, for what I have in my box and what I am going to be able to cover, the main thing that I want to pull is obviously if I can pull a mono avocado tripinch that's like decent, then that can be really good. Of course, because I want to be able to make all the dishes regardless. But I really do want to be hunting a Crustle just for like specific weeks where I'm really trying hard. But in general, I'm not necessarily in need of any of them besides like just to fill out the dishes, because I can do pretty well with what I have. And I ran one more quick auto team maker just based on what I currently have in my box. And this is the team that it gives me, which is not surprising. Only two favored berry Pokemon, a Sceptile and my Ampharos, of course, and I would be getting to Master 3 with it. Or this one, I have it set to, what do I have it set to? I have it set to desserts and like Explosion Popcorn right now. What if I ran with curries here? I don't know how long this is going to take, but it'll probably be something similar. Because, you know, there's some Pokemon that are just really good in my box, and I don't necessarily need to try to fully invest in any of these new Pokemon. But I kind of just, I want Crustle. I feel like it'll be fun. I'm an ingredient-focused player at heart, so that is what I would generally want to do. What is this cooking? Inferno Corn Keema. fine. And with a little bit of prepping, obviously, you can make anything happen. But are we going to get some teams? Gonna get some teams. It's probably going to be the same, but I just, kind of want to prove a point. Oh, and I've left him up the whole time. We've just been looking at Altaria. I should have brought it back to the home screen. You could see my team. I haven't made breakfast because I'm just honestly trying to stock up some ingredients. I don't think this is going to necessarily work, but in general, it's always going to have, oh, there it is. So this is what it's saying I should run, which is pretty much the same. Just swapped in Meowscarada for Ginger, because I have it set to Inferno Corn Keema Curry. But it's always going to have Ampharos, it likes Butterfree and it likes Dragonite. Those are kind of the best Pokemon that I have for Amber Canyon. But regardless, I can reach, this is without good camp ticket, by the way. I should be able to reach Master 3 without good camp ticket if I'm, working on these specific things. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video. I hope that this helped you. I would love to know how you are preparing, what you are going to want most out of the new Pokemon, what specific hunts that you are going to have, how you're going to handle area bonus. Are you going to be sitting on Amber Canyon for a bunch of weeks to build up as much area bonus as possible? Are you going to go back and forth between islands to build up the area bonus from previous islands, since we can now reach 85% area bonus? I would love to know how you are going to approach this new era of Pokemon Sleep. I would love it if you stuck around. I usually post videos of my weekly review once a week on Mondays, and I will be doing that, of course, leading up to our Amber Canyon release. So have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.